Hi, I'm Camille from the Children's Room at Hedberg Public Library, and you are probably joining me here today because you'd like to play Roblox. If you'd like to play Roblox, you might like to learn how game developers create all the really exciting games on the Roblox platform, and that's what we are going to dig into. So they do it by using a platform called Roblox Studio, and we are going to download Roblox Studio, and we are going to start the process of learning to create games. We are going to learn to build in Roblox Studio, and then we are going to learn to code in Lua, which is the programming language that Roblox game developers use. So this is part one, video one, in a 4-part video series. And if you watched my first video on Roblox creating called Create an Obby in Roblox Studio, we are going to cover similar things in this video series, but this video, I have learned a lot since I did that video, and it's going to be more thorough, and we're going to take it a little bit further. So that video will disappear soon, and we are going to do all of the things that we covered in that video in this 4-part series. So today we start with video one, and I'm going to include timestamps in today's video so that if you want to jump around in the video, especially at a later point, if you want to go back to something or you want to share part of the video with somebody else, you will be able to jump around by using those timestamps to jump between my different lessons. So the video will be divided up into lessons. So lesson number one is going to be creating a Roblox account and downloading Roblox Studio. So if you have already done those things, you can skip ahead to lesson number two. And grown-ups, if you are still a little bit unfamiliar with Roblox and want to learn a little bit more about why it is so popular, a little bit about the social aspects of the game and about the educational aspects of the game, which is what we are going to dig into starting today with video number one, you can go ahead and watch a video that I created back in October called What is Roblox? A video for grown-ups that want to know. And I go into a little bit more detail about things that you can do to monitor safety for, especially for very young Roblox users. And I also talk a little bit about how the Roblox team really monitors for safety and inappropriate behavior on the platform. So you can go ahead and check that video out. Otherwise, if you're ready, let's go ahead. You can start with lesson number one if you want to download Roblox Studio with me, or go ahead and jump to lesson number two, where we're going to learn a little bit more about our workspace. Hi, welcome to lesson one. So lesson one is about downloading Roblox Studio to your computer, and I'm actually going to create a brand new Roblox account, which you need first before you can download Roblox Studio. So first things first, I want to tell you that I've included, again, in the description of this video, a link to the requirements to run Roblox, and it's similar for Roblox Studio on your computer. And I know one of the fun things about playing Roblox is that you can play it on an Xbox or a computer or a phone or a tablet, right? You can have fun with that cross-platform play. Roblox Studio can only be used on a computer, either a PC or a Mac. So that is something that you should know. You can only create games in Studio on a computer. So let's go ahead and, well, let me say something first. So if you are having trouble with your game crashing, you can go ahead and check out these specifications. They include specs for your operating system, hardware, as well as internet speeds. But as a rule of thumb, if you've got a computer that's less than 5 years old, you will likely be able to use the Roblox products on your computer. If you are having trouble with things loading, you can check your internet speed. I have one of my computers is connected directly to the router, so I have an Ethernet connection, so I do not have an issue with Wi-Fi and people using streaming services while I'm on my computer. So that's something to check if you're having trouble. You could check to see if other people are, you know, watching Netflix or streaming YouTube videos at the same time that you are trying to play your games or play test your games that you've created in Roblox Studio. So those are the things I would check. All right. So I would say then if you're having trouble, you can go ahead and look at those specifications in the link and see if you can figure out what might be the issue. All right. Let's go ahead. I'm going to create a brand new Roblox account, and I'm going to create an account for, I'm just going to create a practice account, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to create an account. Let's see, I'm going to create an account, and I'm going to put in the birth year as 2010. So that puts me at 11 years old, right? I just turned 11. The reason I'm doing that is I want to share something with what the Roblox team does for accounts that are under 13 years of age. They do more chat monitoring. So you can do some things in your account setup as well as rely on more chat monitoring if your account is set to under 13. So, you know, if you are concerned about those things with a younger Roblox user, make sure you use an accurate birth date. All right, and here it says don't use your real name or even part of your name. You can see I'm going to create a new account, and I'm going to create a username for Mosey, and I'm going to create Mosey 2021. Let's see, how about Mosey HPL 2021? All right, so you can see it will tell you if a username is created, already been created, and I'm going to create a password. All right. And it has to be 8 characters long, so that's not going to work. All right, and then choose your gender. I think it's required. I remember reading that it's required. So there we go. I'm going to sign up for a new Roblox account. And there I am. Editing avatars isn't working right now. Look at that. All right, so we're not going to create a new avatar, but what we are going to do is download Roblox Studio. We hit create and start creating. This is how we are going to download Roblox Studio. And every time you go into Roblox Studio, it's going to do a little downloading. If you're doing it for the first time like I am here, it's going to take just a bit longer. And, all right, so I'm going to go to start creating. And here we go. That took a little bit, right? And we're going to do a little bit of exploring of the templates in the next lesson. So in this video, we are going to learn how to use our camera and manipulate our camera in Roblox. I decided to come in through Roblox.com in case you want to do that someday as well. I'm going to hit create. And then it's going to take me to my games. All right, and I've been playing around here, so I have some games to show, but we are going to create a new game here. So I hit create game. And then these are some templates or some worlds that are already built in Roblox Studio. So all of these things were created here in Roblox Studio. We are going to get familiar with our camera and moving with our camera in one of these areas. When we create our own game, we're not going to use one of these worlds, but let's just choose Pirate Island to explore. So I clicked on Pirate Island and I said create game. All right, so Mosey HPL is place number 4. I want to go in there, so I'm going to click edit. So moving around in the workspace is similar to moving around in the game. And if you play on a tablet or an Xbox, you may not be familiar with using the keyboard and the mouse to move around in the game, and it can be tricky. So I would suggest before you start creating, start playing with Roblox with the keyboard. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So here we are in Pirate Island. So I'm going to just click on the game area here, and then using my mouse, I'm going to right mouse click and drag. And so you can see this is called panning. So it's like standing still and turning your head, whoop, except you can turn your head all the way around, right, by dragging your mouse. So you can look all around your game space, right, by doing this. And if you want to actually move in the different directions on your island, you use the keyboard keys W, A, S, and D. So we'll start with W moves us forward, A moves us to the left, D moves us to the right, and S moves us backwards, right? So what if you want to turn, right? You go, ah! So you can end up right below your workspace, like I'm going forward in the direction that I was oriented. So 2 additional keys that you're going to want to learn to use on your keyboard are Q and E. So you can see we're under the water, and in order to get up and out, I can use Q and E. Q goes down, and E is what I want to use to get out. So E is up, Q is down, straight up and down. Another way I can do it is by using W to go straight ahead. I can go straight ahead under the water like this, but if I pan and point up, now when I use W, I'm going straight in the direction that my camera is pointing. So you can play around with that. Again, I can go back down under the water by using Q. I go straight down like this, straight up and down. It's as if you're holding your camera level and moving straight up and down like this. So now I can even go underneath the floor of the water. Or I can pan again. I could point straight down, and now when I click Q, I'm going down in the direction of my camera or up in the direction of my camera. All right, so practice using that, practice looking and then moving straight ahead in the direction that you're pointing. W is straight ahead, and eventually, because I'm pointed kind of diagonally up, I will make it out of the water. Or I'm going to go back under the water like this. If I want to go straight ahead in the water, I can point my camera a little bit more horizontally, and I can use this up here to kind of see how I'm oriented. And then I'm going to go straight ahead under the water. It looks like I'm pointing down a little bit, right? So let's see. Straighten myself out there. Okay. Okay, so that is how you can manipulate yourself around the workspace. Or let's try putting our avatar here in the game and doing the same thing. So we do that by clicking play. And this is called play testing. We will do this many times as we're creating. To get out, before I forget to tell you to get back out, you hit this stop button, and that will enable you to go back to creating. This is how we test to make sure that the things that we're building work like we want them to, or the code that we're writing works like we want it to. All right, so here's place number 4. It is going to drop our avatar in what is called the spawn location, and we'll talk a little bit about that later too. But the spawn location is where you get dropped into your game. All right, so let's go ahead And let's go up on the pirate ship. All right, so I'm going to move my player now. Click to make sure you're in the game. I'm going to move in the direction of that ramp to get me on the pirate ship. So look, to turn, you have to, I almost fell in. You have to use the keyboards, right? So if I want to change the orientation here of what I'm looking at, look, now I'm looking straight ahead. So when I click on W, I'm going straight. And jump is hitting the space bar, all right? So that's something that you'll want to know when you're playing in the Roblox game. Now I can do something fun here on the pirate ship, and I just got to this by messing around. If you go to a key, up to the cannon, we're going to fire the cannon. So I'm going to click on it with my left mouse button, right? And we're firing the cannon. So that's kind of fun. Go ahead and choose a template and explore. Practice using W, A, and S and D to walk around. It's a little tricky to turn, right? Let's see. We'll end by jumping off the. We'll jump off the ship. Woo! And swim. We'll swim back to shore. All right. I'm going to pan. I want to be facing the shore when I swim, so I'm going to do this. I don't want to be below the water. I want to see the shore, and I'm going to swim and hop out of the water. All right, so go ahead and play around, and I would really recommend playing Roblox if you're not familiar with using the keyboard to move around, and then hit stop to take yourself out of the game. All right, and then we will head back into the next lesson, and we will learn about the actual studio windows and work environment. All right, in this video, we are going to open up Roblox Studio, and I decided to come in again through roblox.com. If I go to create, I will be able to look at the videos I've already created. I'm going to hit edit and open up our last game that has the base plate in it. And we're going to take a look, a little bit deeper look at the Roblox Workspace. So you can see that there are some windows here. If you look, this is like the main work area, and these windows are resizable by just dragging like this. We can drag on this side too. There we go. And even from the bottom, when we write code, output goes here. So sometimes you may want to take the screen up a little bit so you can see the code that prints out on the bottom. So those are the windows. Let's talk about what's in these windows. I said this is called our main workspace. If we look over here, this is called the Explorer window. And the Explorer window contains folders, and it basically contains everything that's in your game. So if I click on here and click on Workspace, you can see we've got camera, terrain, and this gray thing here, this Lego looking thing, is called our base plate. All right, and when we click on the base plate, if you look down here, you'll see there's a properties window. So when you change the item that you've clicked on up here in the Explorer window, it changes the properties. So it shows you the properties of the object that's clicked or highlighted. All right, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a later video. If I go, let's see, let's look down here. This is called the output window. So when we start coding, the output will show up in this video. And right now I can right click on this and I can clear the output. If I go up to the top, you'll see that there are these tabs. And when you click on each tab, you've got different features of Roblox Studio. And if I'm on the home screen. This is the home tab. We'll do a lot of our creating from this tab, or this tab. If we click on view, when I click on Explorer like this, the Explorer window disappears. So if you ever click on a window and you realize, oh, I want that back up, you can go ahead into this view menu and you can bring it back, right? Just by clicking on it, and it highlights, it's grayed out kind of when it's showing on your screen. One final thing that I wanted to show you in the Roblox workspace was how to save your work, right? It is important, no matter what you are working on a computer, right, to save your work periodically so that if you mess something up, you have a version that you can go back to and add to that was just as you like it. So I'm going to show you how to save the file. If I go up here to File, and I'm going to click on File, Save to File As. And this is how you save it to your computer, all right? It is not published for anybody to play on Roblox, but it is saved on your computer. And you can see I already had a version called Roblox Obby version 1. Say I just added a few jumps and I was happy with how they were spaced and the size. I thought it was like the perfect next step in my obstacle course. I'm going to save it to Roblox Obby version 2, and your grown-up can help you create a folder on your computer, or you can do that if you're familiar with how to do that. Create a place and you can put all of your work in that folder. All right, so now this is saved as I like it, and I can go ahead and add things and say I accidentally moved things and I can't get them back to the way I wanted them. I can go back and I can do File, Open from File, and I can go and I can open from that previous version that I had saved, okay? And then start adding again. All right, so that was one last important thing I wanted to show you about the Roblox workspace. We will talk about publishing to Roblox in our next video so that we can begin to share each other's games. All right, happy creating. All right, so let's go ahead and create. We're going to go back into our game that we were starting that just has the base plate. So I'm going to click on Edit here. And open Roblox Studio. Take just a second to load here. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to add a special part to our game called a spawn point. So if you click on these words across the top, they are tabs and they contain different functions. We're going to click on the model tab, and here is where we will add a spawn point. A spawn point is where your player enters the game. Here is what a spawn point as it's initially created looks like in Roblox, and you'll see here it is in our workspace. This is the spawn location, and when you add a part like this, you can, oh look, here it shows it's got a decal on it, right? We're going to go back here. Oops, we're looking at the top now. I don't want to look at the top. The front, left, and back is what I really wanted. So when we're entering a game, we want our back to be showing here so that we are looking forward, right? The next thing I want to show you is how to add a part. So if we go up and hit Home, Part, everything in Roblox is made up of these parts. And if I click on this arrow, you can see the types of parts that we can place in Roblox Studio. I'm just going to place a block to begin with, all right? So if you look over, do you see the block? It's way out in the distance. When you place a part in Roblox, it places it in the center of the screen. So depending on the camera angle, we are looking way out there, right? So it is way out in the horizon, we can say. If I click on that part, or if it's easier, it's so far out there, it's easier to click on it here. I can delete it by just clicking the backspace button or the delete button. And it's no longer there. If I want to move my part to be, if you want to place a part to be a little closer, I'm going to go ahead and pan and move so that the center of my screen is now, look, it's kind of like right there in front of my spawn location. So let's try that. I'm going to add a block there and check that out. So now that's a lot closer. All right. One thing you can do, if I'm going to hit delete again. Well, first let me show you. I think I accidentally double clicked on the name of the part. We can change it, part 1. We can change the names of our parts, and the more complicated your Roblox creations get, the more important it is to make sure you know how to find the parts that you want to change. All right, so now my part is there and it is highlighted. Another kind of useful thing, I'm going to go ahead and delete that again. I'm going to place my part out in the distance again. So look at it's way out here. Go ahead. I'm going to click a part. Let's see. I'm going to place in a sphere. Can you see it? way out there. All right. It comes in as part again. So now I'm going to change the name of that to sphere 1. If I want to work on that part, but it is way far away in my world, one thing that you can do is click on it here in the workspace and click on F. All right, and F will take you right there. It brings it into the center of your workspace. All right. So if I want to go back to my spawn location, I can hit F and I'm back there. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm changing the name. We're going to go ahead and let's see, delete sphere 1, and I'm going to go ahead and move down using my Q and E. Click on the workspace. All right, and I am back kind of at the beginning here with my spawn location. All right. Let's place another part that we're going to practice working on. I'm going to place a block here. That's way out in the distance. That is not what I wanted to do. So delete. Put my center of my screen about right there. Add a part. And I'm going to hit F. I'm going to go to that part. Might be a little too close for what I want to do. From here. All right, so here's my part. I want to show you if I want to duplicate that part, I can hit Command D and it duplicates. I can create a few of those. And again, if I want to get rid of it, I can hit delete. Again, with a part like this, you can do the same thing. You can find, let's see, you can change the orientation, how you're looking at it. If we want the front, the right, the back, all right? Changes how we're looking at that part. All right. Now we're going to go up to the upper left-hand corner. We're going to talk about some of the things that we will do to the part to change its shape and size. So if we want to move the part, say we just want to move the part, we go ahead and click on move and you get these arrows. All right, go ahead and practice moving the part by dragging on the arrows, and you'll look right now this part cannot go through the base plate, and we'll be able to change that feature later on, but right now the part can't go through the base plate. It's called colliding, and we have collision on. All right, so up and down. If you want to scale the part, which means change the size, you're going to do the same thing. Click scale, and then you can drag, and you can change the part size like this. All right. The unit of measurement in Roblox, it is these studs, right? So if we go back and go to the model window, we can
do something called snap, change the snap to grid. We can change that. So right now with this move button clicked, you can go ahead and click on and off. The part moves in one stud increment. So if I go to push on it, to drag it, it is in one stud increments. If I click off of it, there's no snap to grid at all. No snap to grid. I can move it any which way. So depending, if you're trying to align things and get them real close together, have them butt up against each other, you might want that snap on. I'm going to put it back on. And let's look at the scale. I clicked back to move, but if we're looking at scale, if I want to shrink the size of my block here, I can only shrink it down to one stud. If I change this and I make it 0.2 studs, I can go ahead and shrink it down to be even thinner, right? 0.1. Let's see if we can do 0.1 is even thinner. So if you want to make very thin parts, right, you have to be aware of how to change this unit of measurement here. All right, so that is called the snap. All right, and it affects how you can resize your parts. All right, let's look at rotate now. This is another way you can change your parts. When you click on rotate, you will get these circles, and basically you're going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on this red circle. Let's see. No, I did not click on the circle. I right clicked. I'm going to left click on the circle. I can't do much with the blue direction because it crashes into the base plate, but I can rotate 360 degrees like this with the green circle. And let's see, which direction is the blue one? That's the one I can't move. What about red? Yep, red, same thing. So we can't move it in this direction because of the base plate, and it's not letting us move in this direction because of the base plate. So why don't we do this? We are going to move it up into the air. So let's go back to move. Right, we're going to lift it up into the air. Look, you can see there's a shadow. That's a property that we can change. All right, let's move it a little bit higher because that's also going to crash into the base plate, right? Move out a little bit, and I'm going to move it a little bit higher. All right, so now hopefully we can get some good rotation here. All right, if we click on rotate, the green axis, we already did that one. So that's one direction. Red axis is like this. Okay, there we go. So it didn't crash into the base plate that way. And blue, like this, didn't crash that way. All right, so this is just another way that you can move your parts. And again, if you look up here, 10 degrees, if I change it to, let's change it to 45 degrees. All right, now when I rotate, it's like snapping to those 45-degree increments, right? So I don't have as much flexibility, right, as to how I orient my object when I have that snap at a higher number, right? But that's how you rotate your parts. In the next lesson, we are going to learn to change some of the properties of our parts. All right? I think that is mostly what I wanted to teach you in this unit. We're going to go ahead and delete our part, and I'm going to remember how I can get back to my spawn location. I can click on it here and click F, and I'm back home, right? And I'm going to click on this. And if you remember, I want to be this direction here. All right, so I'm going to play test to show you how I can verify that my avatar is going to come and be facing the right direction when I play my game. All right, so let's check that out. We'll go back to home. We'll click the play button. And look at it, look at that. That's what I wanted him to do. I wanted him to be facing that direction. All right, go ahead and practice with those features of adding and changing parts. And I'm going to stop the game and we're going to talk about part properties. In this video, we're going to learn to change our part's properties. And so some of those properties affect how a part functions. Some of them affect how a part looks. So let's go back and edit our game again. We're going to go back into our game with just the base plate. And we're going to go in and delete that base plate. Do you remember how to do that? If you go into the Workspace in the Explorer window, you can click. Can you find the base plate? Remember where it was? If you open up Workspace, click on the base plate, hit delete. Now we've got a good place to put an obstacle course. That is going to be the type of game we're going to start with. So I'm panning. If you're doing an obstacle course, it's kind of like that game Wipeout where there's lots of fun challenges you can do, and if you miss your jump or your activity, you're going to fall, right? Fall through the clouds here in our game. So let's go ahead. We're going to start by putting in a spawn location. Remember where we found the spawn location? Under Model. Click the spawn location. Oh, that was kind of far out there. So I'm going to, again, we'll test if you remember. So spawn location is highlighted over here. I'm going to click right now. It looks like I'm going to change the name. So click F and here it is. I'm going to change my vantage point a little bit. I want to be at the back because I'm going to put a part in my game and I want it to be the first jump that my player does. So I'm just going to stick my part there. I knew it was going to end up kind of right in the middle of my game. Here it is. And my part is highlighted. Remember, we can go ahead and we can change the name. We're going to call it Jump 1. And now that it's highlighted, I can look down here and you can look at the properties. So look at that. If I click on brick color, I can change the color of my first jump. So I'm going to make it yellow. You can change the material. I'm going to make it, how about marble? Kind of marbly looking. I'm going to go ahead and move it off of my base plate. That is in the up direction. I want blue. So I'm going to move it out, right? So we know it's going to be a little bit of an up jump, right? Because it was resting on top of our base plate. I'm going to move it. Let's see. I'm going to move it down a little bit, direction of the green. All right. Now look at this. It's kind of hitting the edge of the base plate, all right? If I move it back, I'm going to move it back on here to show you something. It's kind of hitting the edge of the base plate. It's meeting a little resistance. That's called collision, all right? It's called collision. If I do this, if I move it to the side, move it down a little bit. If I go to move it in this direction, let's see. Boom, boom, boom. It's called colliding. So if I go in part properties, I'm going to scroll down here and see this can collide is checked. If I uncheck it, all right, watch what happens when I move the part in that direction. Whoop, passes right through. Okay, so if, for example, let's watch this. If you go ahead and right now, let's move it down a little bit. I'm going to duplicate this part. Like it passes right through there. But say I even just kind of rest it near the surface. If I go Control D, create another part. Look, I created another part. If I wanted to, whoops, didn't, well, I can move my base plate right through it. But I want to click on this part. I mean, my spawn location. If I click, I can go right through it. But let's go ahead and play test and see what happens when can collide is off. So how do we play test? We go to home, hit play. Uh-oh, where are our parts? Where are our parts? Let's look around. Where are they? All right, so there's another part property we're going to talk about. Let's hit stop. There's two part properties I'm going to talk about right now. Go down into our part properties again and look at a property called anchored. We're going to click on both parts and anchor them. Anchoring a part keeps them in place. So for example, when you're up in the sky, it keeps that part up in the sky. A player can jump on it and it's not going to move. That is very important when we're building your obstacle course, to anchor your parts. Let's try play testing again. Now I have anchored on, but I did not check can collide. Let's see what happens this time when we go ahead and play test. All right, here's our parts. What happens when our player can run right through them, right? So how do you think that part is going to work as a jump in an obstacle course? Not very well. All right, so that's something to remember. Make sure you click on can collide if you want your player to be able to bump into a part or step on a part, and make sure you hit anchored. All right, let's go ahead and stop our game again. All right, let me look. We've got two parts here. I'm going to click can collide for both. Can collide for both. All right, so you can go ahead and play with these different appearance. Right down here, appearance properties. We can change material, color. This changes whether it casts a shadow when you move around, and then there's transparency. Right now, when transparency is set to 0, your part is fully visible. When transparency is set to 1, your part is invisible. And then you can adjust it anywhere in between. Let's go ahead and set it to 0.5. So you can sort of see it there, right? So those are some things that you can play with to change the appearance of your obstacle course. All right, so that is the end of our lessons today. What I would like you to do between now and the premiere of the next video is to go ahead and create an obstacle course. And the way that you'll do that is by adding parts, and you can change the shape of your obstacle course. You can go ahead and play test the obstacle course in the templates, the Roblox templates, and then go ahead and create your own. You can change the levels of the jumps, you can change the appearance of the jumps, and think about your player and how would your player like to begin your obstacle course at a very easy level or a difficult level, and then how would they maybe like to progress through it. If you're designing your obstacle course for someone who is not very good at Roblox, you might want to progress very slowly to more challenging jumps and such. So how would you make your obstacle course more challenging? What are some of the things that you can do? Well, you could make your parts bigger or smaller, right? The bigger the part to aim for with the jump, the easier it is. Obviously, you can place your parts further apart. What if you changed the angle of your parts? Like if we went to rotate, and well, first let's move this part here. Move this part up. There we go. Move it up and rotate it a little bit. What if you had to jump on a part that was at that angle? All right, and then maybe jumped on another part that was at a different angle. Would that be easier or more difficult? I don't know. What if you had to jump on a cylinder instead of a rectangular prism. Would that be easier or more difficult? All right, so those are some of the things that you can do to change the appearance and the complexity of your obstacle course. Let's go ahead and see what happens when I play test this. Did I anchor my parts? Did I did. All right, so if you make it more transparent, does that affect your game? I'm not sure. All right, W. Let's see if I can make it. All right. The question is, can I make it to the other side there? No, and then I had to show you what happens when you fall, right? So, fall through the sky. All right. And maybe, just maybe, you want to make your obstacle course way up in the air and have a base plate on the bottom so that you can see your avatar, your character land. Just some things to consider. All right, what I'd like you to do between now and our next video, a month from now, I want you to go ahead and create an obstacle course, and we will add to our obstacle course in that next video. We'll learn a little bit more about building, and we will start to learn about programming in Lua. All right, thanks for joining me today. All right, I know I said my video was done, but I had a little afterthought. In my last Roblox video, I included a sped up version of me making an obstacle course, and it has some really fun candy and ice cream cones in the obstacle course, and we didn't talk about that in this video, but we are going to talk about creating things like that and borrowing some of those types of things from Roblox. They're like pre-created models, they're called, and we're going to talk about that in the next video. So I thought I would share the fast-forwarded version of me creating my obstacle course. It's a Candyland themed obstacle course, and I thought I would tack that on to the end of this video. So go ahead and watch it, and you'll get a preview of what we are going to do in our next video.